Good morning, Year 6, and welcome to another day of Maths Home Learning. For this whole couple of weeks, we've really been looking at decimals, and today we're going to be thinking about representing decimals as fractions. So we've already done a lot of work on fractions over this year, and now we're going to be looking at how fractions and decimals really are very closely related, and how when we write a fraction, often we can represent that fraction as a decimal. So to start off with, I've just got this little question to think about. 4 tenths are equal to 40 hundredths and 400 thousandths. Now if we think about our place value grid, we know that for the tenths column is just after the decimal point. And if we have 4 tenths, we can, when we're dividing, then if we have to exchange those 4 tenths for 40 hundredths. And then we can exchange those 40 hundredths for 400 thousandths. So that is actually correct. And if we see it as a fraction, we can see it even more closely, because 4 tenths, what do you think I need to times 4 tenths by to get to 40 hundredths? That's right, I times it by 10. And then 40 hundredths, what do you think I'm going to times 40 hundredths by to get to 400 thousandths? That's right, I'm going to times it by 10. And obviously, I'm also timesing my denominator as well. So these all equal the same. They are all, as it says, equal to, or the same as. So we know that 4 tenths equals 40 hundredths equals 400 thousandths. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our learning. And we're going to start off with 0.1. Now that's decimal, we all know. And this decimal here, 0.1, has 1 tenth. So we know that it's also written as 1 tenth. And 1 tenth as a fraction is written like this. So 0.1 is actually equal to 1 tenth as a fraction. We could also say it's 1 out of 10, 1 part out of 10 parts, and 10 being our whole. And then we can also write 0.1 in words like we've done so here. So I want you to have a quick think and then have a go for 0.2. So pause the video and have a quick go at that, and then we're going to go through it together. Okay, let's have a think then. All right, 0.2, well, we know that is 2 tenths. And then we know 2 tenths as a fraction will be written 2 over 10. Like that, 2 tenths. And then we know we can write it as in words, so 0.2. And then, can anyone remember the last one we wrote it down as? We said it would be 2 out of, or 2 parts out of 10. So we can do the same for all the decimals. So if we move on to the next sheet, let's have a look at 1 tenth here. Well, we know that 0.1 is the same now as 1 tenth. 1 tenth is equal to 0.1. So how many tenths do you think is equal, or what's the decimal for 6 tenths? Well, that's right. It has 6 lots of 0.1. So if I keep going, I'd have 6 lots of 0.1, so that'd be 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6. So 6 tenths equals 0.6. And therefore 0.7, if we see the pattern here, is not 0.1 equals 1 tenth, and 0.6 equals 6 tenths. 0.7 is going to equal, that's right, 7 tenths. Okay, so I think we've really understood how we can collate fractions, or how we can change fractions out of tenths into decimals. But now we're going to look how we can even simplify it. So here, I have 100 altogether. And this square is out of 100, and we have 19 squares shaded. So we have 19 squares shaded out of 100, which equals 19 hundredths, or as a fraction, would equal 19 hundredths here. So therefore, if 10 hundredths equals 0.1, because we know 1/10 is the same as 10 hundredths, then 19 hundredths is going to equal 0.19. So that's how we'd represent that one, as a decimal. And then finally, here we know that 60 hundredths is also equal, the same as 6/10, which is also the same as 0.6. So could you pause the video now and have a go at these two questions? So pause the video now and have a go at these two questions. Okay, let's have a look. Well, here I know I've got 10, 20, 30, 39 squares shaded, so 39 hundredths. And I know then that as a decimal, 30 hundredths is 0.3, and then my 9 hundredths is going to go on the end, so it's going to be 0.39. Here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tens all shaded, so that's going to equal 60 hundredths. And that as a decimal, well, 60 hundredths is the same if we divide both sides by 10 as 6/10. And that's also the same as 0.6. Okay, we're going to go on because we've got a few more questions still to do. So then if I look at this next question here, here I have 0.1s. And we know that one of my 0.1s is equal to 1/10. So this is going to equal 1/10. However, here we have 2/10. And 2/10 is also the same if I divide both 2/10. If I divide both 2 and 10 by 2, so 2 divided by 2 is going to be 1, and 10 divided by 2 is going to be 5. So we know that 2/10 is also can be simplified to 1/5 as a fraction, and 1/5, or the same as 2/10, is also the same as here 0.2. Because 2/10 is the same as saying 1/5, and that as a fraction equals 0.2. So 1/5 is equal to 0.2. What would 2/5 be equal to, do you think? If 1/5 equals 0.2, 2 parts of our 5 would equal 2/5, 1, 2, all added up would be 0.4, of course, because it would be 2 lots of 0.2, wouldn't it? So it would be 0.4. Okay. Let's have a think about this then. 2/5, as we just discussed, 2 lots of our 2/5 all together. So we've got 5 parts here, each equals 0.2. 2/5 is going to equal 0.4. What do you then think 4/5 is going to equal? I've doubled my 2/5 to 4/5, so I've doubled my 2 here. So what am I think I'm going to double? Yes, I'm going to double my decimal. So 4/5 altogether are going to equal 0.8. 4 lots of 0.2 are going to equal 0.8. And finally, 3/5. Well, we know that 3/5 is going to equal, well, 1, 2, 3/5 altogether is going to equal 0.6, because we can work that out now because we can count them up. 1/5, 2/5, 3/5 altogether equals 0.6. What do you think 6/5 are going to equal if I'm timesing 0.6 by 2? Well, we know that 5/5 is going to equal all a whole, aren't they? They're going to equal 1. So 5/5 are equal to 1. and then I've got 1/5 left, so I'm going to have 1.2, and 0.6 times 2, even if we check this using our method we've been using so far, is going to equal 1.2 as well. So 2 lots of 6 are 12, so I'm going to do 2, put my decimal point, and then carry my 1, because 2 times 0 is nothing, 1.2. Okay, I want you to now go away and have a go at the worksheet you've been set today. You've probably got to try and change the fractions you see into decimals, and I want you to try really hard and just think about, well, what is 1/10? Well, 1/10 is 0.1, and what's 1/5 is going to be 0.2. And from all there, you can work out all the other decimals. Good luck, and I can't wait to see your work. Please remember to post it to Past Jojo.